Good morning, Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for joining me live, and thanks for watching the replay if you're doing that. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rebecca, homeopath, holistic life coach and natural health advocate, and just come in here every Monday to share a tip, a thought, a simple process, just something that I think might just support you in becoming more conscious of what may be helping you in your life and what could be hindering you. So today I wanted to actually focus on something that I am naturally focusing on every year, this time of year. And that is the giving of gifts and also the receiving of gifts, and thinking about what I can give to those people that I want to give gifts to, those people that I love and that I want to show that I love them, and how appropriate those gifts can be if I put the right kind of energy into it. And it just reminded me of how beautiful the essence of gift giving can be if we really remind ourselves of that essence, and that we try not to get sucked into a kind of annual feeding frenzy of buying for the sake of buying. Oh, thanks very much for the heart. Good morning, Caroline. And just reminding ourselves of what our relationship is with giving and also with receiving. So I wanted to encourage you really to just spend a little bit of time on just thinking about how you feel when you give a gift. So, and why you give a gift. And I'm talking in essence about really feeling that you are giving a gift because you really want to show how much you care for the recipient, how much you admire them, how much you love them, how much you respect them, maybe, how much you would like to know them better. If you're already, in a relationship with somebody, then often the giving of gifts can be something that can deepen that relationship. It can remind us of how much we care for somebody and also how much we know somebody. So just thinking about why you give gifts. And I'm very aware that we often give gifts for different reasons as well. In the past, obviously, the giving of gifts to some kind of tribal leader or a king or a queen or somebody who you perceive to be somehow higher than you or have more authority. It was about appeasement. It was about asking them to remember that you've given them something and to perhaps elevate yourself in their perception, in their view of you, to garner favour, basically. And I suspect that sometimes, quite unconsciously maybe, we do that when we give gifts as well, even within our own families, even to soothe an angry child, maybe, or to soothe an angry partner. So I just wanted to encourage you this morning to maybe think about, or this week, to just think about, why do you give a gift? What is it that you ultimately are seeking when you give a gift? And how do you select your gifts? Do you wait for the recipient to tell you what they want and just get something that's off a list? Or do you spend time that you like, just thinking about that person and choosing something that you know will bring them moments of joy or happiness or surprise, and connection with you even. I know some of the most precious gifts that I've ever received have got nothing to do with how much money has been spent. They're often homemade things, especially from children. What parent hasn't experienced the joy of a young child having spent time making something, crafting something, purely to give you pleasure as their mother. And those are some of the most treasured gifts for me still, because when I pick them up, however misshapen and old and perhaps a bit grubby they are now, they immediately bring back the feeling that I had when I first received the gift, that feeling of pure joy and pleasure and love, and connection with my child. And that, I think, is the essence of giving a gift and receiving it, actually. And I fear that that's got a little bit lost these days. So I wanted to encourage you to think about, what your motivation is for giving a gift, and try and be really honest with yourself. Also, to think about your values around, well, generally, but also particularly around giving gifts. Sometimes it can feel a bit incongruous to be perhaps giving things to people that are maybe only available from certain suppliers that you wouldn't dream of supporting normally. There's nearly always a way around that. It might take a little bit of extra time, a little bit of extra effort, but if you can support suppliers, suppliers that are in alignment with your values, that you know are supporting the kind of products and the kind of materials that you know are perhaps not causing any harm to this beautiful earth that we live in, for example. I would urge you to not kind of throw all your values out of the window simply because you must buy a present, you must give a gift to somebody. Just make sure that it's in alignment with how you value things in your life, as well as also obviously being mindful of the value systems of the recipient as well, because our actions and the objects that we choose to spend our money on, however little or however great, affect more than just that transaction. They are nearly always either supporting your own values or they're flying in the face of them. For me, it doesn't sit right with me to be supporting huge global companies that I know trade unethically, who use people in an unethical way, and who use materials that are perpetuating the destruction of this earth. So I make a conscious effort to understand when I spend my money or when I buy materials to make something for somebody, where am I getting them from? Who am I actually supporting when I do that? And that's, I think, quite an important part of our buying power, if you like, is that we can vote for those that are in alignment with our values and those that are not. We have power in that regard. Anyway, I'm slightly digressing. So just going with why you buy gifts, Why? And that might vary from person to person. I'm well aware of that. And just looking at your feelings about gifts, and also how you value them. Do you measure the value of a gift purely by its financial worth? Or do you measure it by its size, maybe? Or do you measure it by whether it's on someone's list or not? Is it about appeasement, for example? Or do you measure it by the amount of visible joy and energetic joy that you get when you see that person opening up your gift, and that connection that you can get? Maybe even sometimes tears of joy might come from the recipient. Is it that gives you the most pleasure? I often think about why in the past I would have got really annoyed if my husband had resorted to going down to the local petrol station and buying me a bunch of sad flowers. And that's the gift to me. And it wasn't really much to do with the flowers themselves. It was to do with the fact that it was indicative that it was a last-minute thought, i.e. no thought had gone into it. It was ticking a list. It was, oh my God, it's Christmas or it's a birthday or whatever, or an anniversary. I better get something. Oh, that'll do. And I personally would rather have nothing than have a gift that doesn't carry with it some form of love or thought or understanding of me as a person. Because I think what ultimately we're all after from gift giving and gift receiving is a feeling of connection, a feeling that this person really knows me, really gets me, really understands what my values are and what is going to give me pleasure and what isn't going to give me pleasure. Now, obviously, that's not always the case. Sometimes we're giving gifts for different reasons, and that's where things like flowers and chocolates and all the rest of it come into the mix. So I know it's not always about that, but I think you get what I mean. Do say if I'm making sense or not making sense. Let me know. What's your kind of predominant motive for buying a gift or making a gift for somebody? So, and then I wanted to come on to receiving. And we often forget the receiving part in our gift exchanges. How is your relationship with receiving? Can you actually purely receive? So accept a gift without feeling that you need to give back, without scurrying around and feeling, oh God, now I've got to give something back. A bit like receiving a compliment, for your appearance or your what you're wearing, something like that. How quick are you to somehow dumb it down, to devalue it? If somebody says, oh, gosh, you look beautiful today, I love your dress, are you immediately going into, oh, this old thing? Or, it didn't cost much, or I only got it from, and that kind of knee-jerk devaluing of what is actually a gift. It's somebody has noticed you, and is able to compliment you. I see that as a gift now. I didn't always. And I'm much better able now to just say, oh, thank you. Thank you very much. That's really kind. And that's it. I don't feel I need to give anything back. When we make something into a debt, it ceases to be a gift. That kind of energy exchange of I'm noticing you, and you saying, thank you for noticing me. That gets lost because it becomes now I've got to do something back. So I wanted you to just actually start thinking about what your relationship is with receiving. Do you always need to have a thank you, for example? Do you need some kind of acknowledgement that you have given something? Is there anywhere in your life where you are happy, comfortable, at ease with giving anonymously without needing any kind of even acknowledgement? It's quite a big area because that might tap into your value system as well. For example, I know, when I was growing up, it was drummed into me that manners, your please and thank yous, were very, very important. And they are still important to me, but less important than the pleasure of giving a gift that I know will give pleasure. Practicing giving to charities, for example, or helping out in some way that you know that your help is valued, without necessarily needing thanks or something in return. That can be a good practice to get into. Even giving something to a random stranger, just for the sake of giving it, can just loosen up that ability to receive and to give. So that's what I wanted to encourage today, is just to really think about what your relationship is with both giving and receiving, and ask yourself whether you can hang on to the essence of giving and receiving, that gift, which is really about connection between two people. And it doesn't have to have anything to do with money or finances. It can often be simply thinking about, what would mean most to that person. What would bring them those tears of joy or surprise or gratitude, or just simply recognition that they've been seen and they've been heard and they've been acknowledged. Often it's about us, our time. It could be your company, it could be your voice, it could be something that you've created. It could be doing something very simple that they're not able to do, or that they feel they're not able to do, and just doing it for them. It doesn't have to cost any money. We do not need to get into debt in order to give gifts. I'll just cut out there. And that includes, by the way, gifting ourselves to ourselves. So giving ourselves time, giving ourselves love, giving ourselves whatever gifts we can give, whether it's getting out in the fresh air, sleeping, eating well, seeing a therapist, to help, enlisting help, whatever those gifts are. Those are the precious things that we should have in the forefront, I believe, at this time of year. And thank you very much for the heart. So I can see, I know, Caroline, you agree with me, so I think I'm preaching to the converted there. But yes, if anybody else thinks differently, if anybody finds this time of year difficult in terms of buying gifts, maybe that it can trigger lots of things in us, including feeling that we don't have enough, all of those things. So I would encourage you to just maybe do a little bit of journaling on how you could give and how you could receive in a way that honours the essence of it and doesn't perhaps feed into what has become a kind of feeding frenzy at this time of year. Anyway, I think I've made my point. That's my message for today. I wish you a beautiful week, just thinking of how much you can give and how much you can receive. Wishing you a lovely week, and see you next week for what will be the last Monday messages of this year. Take care. Bye.